everyone, welcome back to Jolvie. My name's Kimi and this is a video all about the weird things that have happened to me since coming to Japan because I thought you guys would find them entertaining. So the first thing is kanji. Kanji is a very confusing thing for foreigners when they come to Japan because they're so prevalent and you can't read them unless you want to use a translator app. And I've been learning kanji, but there's just so many that it's obvious that I'm not going to know all of them. So I made the error of assuming, due to the packaging of the product, what an item was because I couldn't read the kanji. And this is something that's very tempting to do because they do put icons of like what an item is on the front of the packaging and you'd think that that would be enough to be able to guess what the item was, but this is my warning to you that that's not always the best idea. So I was in a hurry at the grocery store and I needed to buy detergent to wash my clothes, and I'm really used to buying like the discount item of that particular product because it always works the same and it's normally the cheapest. And I've just been used to this because back in Australia, where I lived before I came to Japan, this item, the home brand cheap item, was always like on the bottom shelf and had this really plain packaging. And I had been wandering around the store trying to find this detergent, and then I finally found the section where the detergent was, and I saw on the bottom shelf there was this package that had a picture of a t-shirt with little sparkles around it, and it was cheap, and I was like, well, that must be the cheap detergent. So I bought it and went home and started my load, and then that was when the disaster struck. When I used my phone to translate the kanji on the front of this package, and the bottle was like, you know, it looked like a detergent shaped bottle. It had this picture of the sparkly shirt, and I wanted to translate the kanji into the word for detergent so I could remember the word for detergent and I could remember the kanji so next time it wouldn't be so confusing. And I was in for a big surprise when I found out that the kanji was bleach for clothing. Bleach for clothing. So I had just started my load and I'd put bleach into my laundry and I was like, oh no, this is the worst, what will I do? And I was like thinking, should I stop my load? Should I take all my clothes out? But then I realized that the laundry was just like it was all in there with the water and bleach, and I thought that, well, if I take them out, I'm just gonna do the same thing. I'm just gonna have to rinse it out with water, and I was just like, well, I'm just gonna let it go and then see what happens. And I was worried because I'm quite a minimalist. This channel is a lot about minimalism, so I didn't really have that many clothes in this, like in total, so most of my clothes were in this load, and I was like, oh my gosh, am I gonna have no clothes? And so I was sitting there all stressed out and waited, and then it turns out that it wasn't a complete disaster. The majority of the clothing that got destroyed was the stuff that was on top, and it was only the stuff that was black that got destroyed. And I own a lot of black, but it was just like a dress and a hoodie and some socks and, like, you know, and it was all the stuff that I'd poured the bleach directly on top of that was on the top of the load. So thankfully all of my clothes weren't destroyed. But that was something that had happened, and then I swore that that would never happen again. I even got phone data because at that time I didn't have data on my phone to check until I got home. But yesterday I went and I was in the grocery store and I tried to use my phone to check what the container of soap I was looking at was, and it said body soap and I was looking for shampoo. So then I saw one next to it that was the same, but it had a picture of a girl like doing this with her hair, and I was like, well, that one's body soap, that one must be shampoo. So I bought it, like not bothering to check that one because I was like, well, obviously that one's shampoo. Got home, realized it was conditioner, not shampoo. So this is just a lesson to all of you to never assume what the kanji says. It probably won't be what you thought it was, and the packaging can be deceiving. And then the other thing I wanted to share about what happened to me in Japan that probably wouldn't happen as much somewhere else is I was waiting in line for the bathroom in the train station at my university, And I'm a pretty tall girl. I'm like 5'10" or so, and I have a pretty kind of androgynous style sometimes. And this happened a few times in the other places I've lived, but I had pixie cut hair, like really short hair, so it was kind of like understandable that people would mistake me for maybe being a guy. But what happened was is I was waiting in line for the bathroom, and this older Japanese woman came up to me and tapped me on the shoulder and was like, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, I can't understand you, I don't know what you're saying. So she was wearing a face mask and was kind of mumbling as well, and she seemed very like frantic, so I was like, sumimasen, wakarimasen, I don't understand. And then the woman next to her, like in front of me in line, was like, she's asking if you're a man or a woman. And I was like, oh, okay. I was so taken aback. And in the moment I was a bit like offended. I was like, I don't feel like I look like a guy. My hair has grown so much, like it's quite long. I don't feel like I'm that manly. But then afterwards I realized that that day I was wearing a particularly androgynous outfit. I was wearing a men's polo and a leather jacket and jeans and sneakers, and I'm quite a lot taller than most Japanese men, so I just probably just didn't look like a Japanese woman at all, because Japanese women, they often have a more feminine style, and they're often kind of much more petite and like just smaller people. So me, as this really tall Western woman with kind of, I don't know, my hair is longer, but it still maybe could be thought of as like a men's short haircut maybe. So I didn't feel offended afterwards, but in the moment I was like, what? I'm surrounded by women in this line, and I don't know, it was just a bit shocking. So yeah, that's currently the two main things that have happened that I found pretty hilarious since coming to Japan. And yeah, I'd love to hear if you guys have had any sort of crazy cultural experiences that came about because you were new in a completely different country from your own. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!